morning, students. Welcome to Gyan Niketan Girls School. In today's session, I'm going to tell you the summary of the poem Hope is a Thing with Feathers, composed by Emily Dickinson. Children, Emily Elizabeth Dickinson was an American poet. She was born on 10th December 1830 in United States and died on 15th May 1836. She was a prolific poet, but less than a dozen of her nearly 1800 poems were published during her lifetime. The work that was published was usually changed significantly by the publishers to fit the poetic rules of the time. Dickens' poems are unique for the era in which she wrote. They have short lines, usually did not have titles, and used unconventional capitalization and punctuation. Many of her poems deal with themes of death and immortality. Children, Hope is a Thing with Feathers is an inspirational poem. It's a very small poem. This poem consists of 3 stanzas with 4 lines each. Let's move on to the lines of the poems. Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. And sweetest in the gale is heard, and sore must be the storm that could bash the little bird that kept so many warm. I have heard it in the chillest land and on the strangest sea, yet never in extremity it asked a crumb of me. Children, this poem was written in 1891, and the poet Emily Dickinson strikes a note of hope in this poem. The poet calls a hope a thing with feathers. That means bird that sits on the soul and keeps on singing a song of optimism. You know the meaning of optimism? To always think positive. The speaker in this poem calls hope as a bird, the thing with feathers that sits in the soul of every human being. There it sings in abstract tune a song of optimism. Its melody inspires in man a sense of optimism. It goes on singing wordlessly and without any single pause. Children, hope sits on the soul of a human being like a constant companion. Companion means friend. It is an abstract tune of optimism. Man never stops to hope. The sweetest song of hope is heard in the blow of sorrows. That is the greatest the troubles, the sweeter and more articulate our hope. Children, hope soothes and gives the warmth of comfort to many people. Such hope can't be put out of continence unless by a sore storm. Men cease hoping only when they are in the sorest distress. Distress means pain. Children, the poet tells us that she had heard the song of hope in the chillest land and on the strangest sea. Yet the bird of hope is so selfless that it never asks anything in return, not even a crumb. The poet has heard the song bird of hope in moments of greatest distress, not only in her own life, but in others' lives as well. Hope is selfless. It comforts all when they need the comfort most, but it never expects of them anything in return. Children, the poet presents metaphor in the first two lines. Hope is the thing with feathers, and the second one is that perches in the soul. Then she tells what the bird does, how it reacts to hardships, where it can be found, and what it asks for itself. Children, the poem concludes by stating that despite all it does, hope never asks for anything from the speaker. Overall, then, the poem turns hope into a vivid, imagined character in order to show how important it is both to individuals and to humanity as a whole. That's all, children. Thank you.